Yo, what's up, everyone? It's the People's Fit Coach, Sincere Hogan, NewWarriorTraining.com. Yo, dude, you know how I roll. I like doing things dirty, gutter. You know, I love when people use what they have and, you know, get the results that they want. And, you know, I love it when cats train underground style. So finally, in Houston, as far as facilities go, I finally found like one of the dopest underground training gyms in H-Town. So, and it just happens to be one of my boys' spot. It's my man, Mike Hulse. Where the hell are you? Oh, there we go. There he is. My man, Mike Hulse, owner of HouseStrengthCamp.com. You know, my man Mike, he trains a lot of athletes in this joint, a lot of high school athletes, you know, even some weekend warriors. He gets, you know, he kicks their asses too. But, and I had to just come by and see what Mike had. Mike's been putting this together for the last couple of months. I promised him I'd stop by. And, you know, I knew he was going to put something good into this. So I wanted to make sure he had everything the way he wanted before we even brought him up here. So, first of all, Mike, just give us like just a brief background on you, like how you got into strength and conditioning.
You know, really, I got into kettlebells. I think it's probably 2006. I was in Ukraine and went to just a rundown gym just like mine. And the guy was showing me kettlebells. So God, I was, you know, beating up my arms and everything. And so when I came back, I searched the net, you know, found Dragon Door, went through both their certifications, and I found out there was another certification, you know, where you work competition, you know, where you go for time. Went through Valery's deal, then I went through Steve's deal, and then, you know, stumbled across Zach's deal, you know, just putting the gym together for the whole, you know, with everything, where you're doing powerlifting, right, you know, strongman stuff, and I tell you, Zach, it's, God, I just, like a breath of fresh air. I don't know what I'd be doing if I hadn't stumbled across him on the net, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you put something together, you have something in your mind, you're thinking, God, you know, that's never going to go over, you know what I'm saying? People just aren't going to, they're not going to come to a place like that. You know, now I've got it. I don't even care, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
and
you
so,
know,
it's for people who don't know, my man Mike's referring to Zach Even-Esh over at Underground, you know, StrengthGym.com, UndergroundStrengthCoach.com, and also, as far as kettlebells, he's referring to Valery Fedorenko from the AKC, Steve Cotter from the IKFF. So, you know, when you put all those cats together right there, you know, you got Pavel over at, you know, the RKC. Dude, that's a powerhouse of, you know, strength right there, Mike.
Strong cats.
Yeah,
man.
those are mutants. No, those are mutants right there, dude. They make comic books about those four dudes.
Yes, they are. That's the real deal. And, you know, I'm just glad I came across you where we're in the same town. It's like, you know, because if you're not talking about strength and conditioning on that level, I really don't even want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's such bullshit out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want people that want to come to this gym. I want to get 30 good people that come here for $200, $300 a month, and that's it. And I'm sad. You know, I don't want to train the whole world. You know, I want hardcore athletes that are going to run through this wall.
Hey man, that's how you do it right there. And you know, we're gonna do a little walk around so we can show you what your hardcore athletes are working with right here. So, first of all, you know, we got the wheelbarrow right here full of stones, you know, and people probably drive by this stuff every day and just like, ah man, all these rocks sitting on the side of the road and all this madness right here. But you know what? You know, when you're training underground style right here, these are implements. These tools are just as important as a kettlebell, a barbell, a dumbbell. You know, basically the theory is lift heavy, you know what. Y'all know how I roll. So right here, you got some heavy, you know what. You know, we got the keg right here. You know, so the things you use to party are the things we use to bring on the power and the pain. So lots of kegs over here. We got the boxes, the plyo boxes over here. You know, so we can build that explosiveness. You know, get some of that strength going right there in that lower body. So, of course, you know, glute ham raises right here. You know, you got your main staples right here. But the really fun stuff happens right in this joint right here. You got Atlas stones over here, so you can do some strongman type training. And trust me, there is a time and place for strongman training, even in your everyday routine, if you're not even training to be a strongman or a strong woman. So there's a lot of things that have some carryover from doing that type of training into your everyday routine. But the thing is, you gotta be smart about it, and pretty much it needs to make sense to you. Don't just do stuff because it looks cool, because that's a good way to get hurt, okay? So make sure you have the proper coach that can instruct you on this. You know, I was fortunate enough to go out to Vegas to my man Mike Mahler's workshop out in Vegas about 2 years ago, and I learned from one of the kings of strongman, Mark Philippi, you know, pretty much how to implement using Atlas stones and strongman type training in your program. So my thing is, when you want to add things like that, you should go to the masters. Always go with the masters, all right? Over here, you know, these are my favorites, sandbags right here, different sizes. I think it's about 45 pounds. There's a 50, I think it's a 75 right there. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to make a sandbag, man. My thing is, you got an Army surplus store. If you have a Home Depot, then you got everything you need to make a sandbag. This keg right here, go to a local pub, you know, and see if you can talk them into handing it over to you. Stones like this, side of the road. Wheelbarrow, you can grab that bad boy at Home Depot. You know, let me show you what you can do with this bad boy.
It's a whole lot different than Olympic lifting. It's only 75 pounds, baby.
It is no joke. And Mike's a strong dude, so he still got to put in a little work right there. You know? Now, let's see you do that with everything else, all the pretty little gym equipment you get from the sporting goods store. And right here, you're going to see me in a little bit playing on these bad boys. Where there's a rope, there's a way, baby. So I love it. And then we got the rings over here. You know, Mike has some gymnasts coming in, and you don't have to be a gymnast to get on the rings and really, you know, get the benefits for it. So give it a try. You know, he got some more rings over here. And for those that don't know, Mike used to be a boxer, man. Dude's got some bad hands. So, of course, I knew Mike was gonna have a little bag action going right here, but for me, because you know I love Muay Thai, I got a little something right here, but you know, a little heavy bag work. Another good way to work on your cardio endurance, and a little anaerobic training right there, because trust me, kicking and punching on that bag right there is doing more for you than just cardio. It is working some serious muscle, building some serious power and serious strength. So, grab one. As you can see, we actually had one over here. It's not hooked up, but we were doing some explosive movements with this bag right here. We were pretty much, you know, you'll see us in a little bit, you know, sitting there, we'll throw it up on our shoulder. I actually did a get up with one of those, inspired by my man Steve Maxwell. I saw him recently having a log on his shoulder while he's over in Europe and doing a get up with that. So I had to dare Mike to see if he wanted to do it with a 70-pound heavy bag. So we had a little fun with that. So thank you, Steve Maxwell, for always being an inspiration, brother. And of course, you know, gotta have the kettlebells around. In fact, there's a whole big set right over here. So, got the kettlebells over here. Recovery work, we got the Indian clubs right here. Big shouts out to Dr. Ed Thomas and also my man Jason Dobie. He's really putting it out there about the benefits of Indian club training. Got the chains right here. So, you know, just a lot of toys right here at House Strength Camp. And this monster. Oh, dude, it looked like you took that from a graveyard. Are you sure? Because that looks like you took it from somebody's grave. What the hell is that? let's see that. What the hell is that, dude?
That's a fence post hole digger, man. 90 pounds. We're walking all the way up the block here. Here. Why don't you catch me?
Now, trust me, something odd like that at 90 pounds is no easy thing to play with, especially when all the weight is pretty much on the left side right there. So you got to really adjust, really stabilize, and things like that.
That's when we get to the end of the driveway, we just switch hands. We get equal distribution on both.
There you go. So yeah, man, there you go. My man Mike, like I said, well, there's a will, there's a way. Talking about no rules, baby, no rules. The only rules is be safe. That's it. That's the only rule. But the thing is, don't take being safe as being scared. So don't be afraid to try new things. You know, just be wary of bad technique. So a lot of this carries over in everyday life. You know, when your wife says get out there and clean up the yard, hey, dudes, here you go. Stuff like this gets you there. And it'll get you the results that you want right there. So anyway, and of course you got all the big tires right here. Sledgehammer, tires of various sizes.
Then we start at 150, 175, 270, 335, 430.
And the monster.
630.
630 right there, baby. And
got
you know,
our kegs from 50 all the way up to 225-pound increments.
Got the sleds right here, got the toe straps. I'm telling you, dude, I mean, this is a very fully equipped gym. Really didn't cost that much for most of the stuff he has. And a lot of stuff you can make yourself, and you know, and this is like the beauty right here. Before we wrap things up, I just want to talk about this monster. You're gonna see me playing on this in just a few. This is called Jacob's Ladder. And trust me, this is like taking a stairway to heaven, even though it feels like you're going to hell when you're on this bad boy for a little while, as you'll see in a few minutes with myself, all right? And then again, there's always the basics right here. You got the rack, you got the weights, and everything's good. So this is how we do it, underground style, H-Town, House Strength Camp. Hey, the sign says it all, baby. This is no place to play. This is where you come and get strong as hell, all right? So I want to thank my man Mike House for letting me come and invade his spot. And check him out at housestrengthcamp.com. Check me out, newwarriortraining.com. This is the People's Fit Coach, hanging out with my man Mike House. We're doing it like this, people, underground style, saying peace.